going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thanks so much again for tuning back in here for part 2. Again, if you haven't checked out part 1 of our interview here with Angie Rizzi, make sure to go and check that out first. Again, we talk about her time in NC State, also too, just again, talking about the craziness of the COVID year, talk a little bit about Coach Patrick and Coach Swift. And again, definitely make sure to check that out. But jumping right into it again, for the second part here, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the team this year and also to talk more about the future of NC State softball, because I think that all of us here at NC State, obviously the one big thing that you see is that this offseason, Coach Patrick and Coach Swift brought in the number 4 overall recruiting class in college softball, which is ridiculous for sure. That's amazing and definitely hats off to the coaching staff for that. But now the question comes, okay, so what's next? And Angie, one of the biggest things I want to ask is, obviously there's been quite a transition, obviously, of personnel between last year's team and this year's team. If you don't mind, obviously, it's tough. Obviously, you lost 2, of our, starting pitchers or I guess a starter and then, one of our main relievers / starters. So kind of talking a little bit from the pitching side, obviously I know you're an outfielder, but I know you could probably speak on this, but what's the biggest thing that you kind of see from the pitchers that Coach Patrick and Coach Swift were able to bring in, and, what kind of makes you excited about what, potential they have to replace what was lost?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing I'm excited to see is how they're going to dominate ACC. I think they all have great experience. Obviously, I think Asia was at Winthrop. Maddie was at Georgia Tech, so she has ACC experience. Then we have Sam Gress, who has pitched a number of games for us, and Brooklyn as well. So just knowing that they have that experience under their belt and they know what it takes to win. They all had big games to play. They know, like I said, what it takes to win those big games. Shut out on the midweeks. I think if they put in the work that I know that they can put in, I think they're going to be great.
I'm curious, I was looking back at the schedule last season for those who weren't aware. So the softball team was 26 and 25 overall. But they dominated a lot of ways at home. They finished 22 and 12, but that's awesome. But on the flip side, they finished 3 and 12 on the road. So really good at home, really struggled on the road. Can you talk about the mentality of the team? Obviously, you can say they should need to go in and play hard and realize that they travel where you travel. You got to take pride in that. But what kind of prep work and mentality goes into playing and succeeding on the road?
I don't think the mentality and the prep work should change, in my opinion. I think the way you prepare to play at home, you should prepare to play on the road games. I know stats kind of prove that we didn't do the greatest on road games, which, it happens. I don't know if it was nerves. I don't know if it was, a different fan base or whatever the consequences were. But one thing our coach always preached to us was we hate to lose, but we absolutely hate losing at home. And I totally agree with that. Like, losing in general is terrible. I hate losing, but if you lose on your home field, it should feel 10 times worse. And I totally agree with that. So I think we just need to, especially this team or any team in general, honestly, it just needs to have the same mentality and prep work that you do when you have a home game, when you have a road game. So I don't think anything should change. I just think, if anything, make a statement at someone else's field, because you want to take that win for them. It's going to make them feel bad, but it's going to make you feel awesome. So I think they have to go in thinking that, okay, this is their home field, but we're going to make it like it's ours.
Yeah. Well, and, because, a wise man once said that, good teams win at home, great teams win on the road. And because, at the end of the day, it's not where you're comfortable. Obviously for like NC State softball, you practice on the field that you're playing on, like with football, you don't have that. You have a separate practice field more than likely. So, I think that's a more benefit to you is that, what's going to go, all the ins and outs of that field. And so, obviously too, with ACC, I would definitely say that softball in the ACC is really starting to grow. Like you were saying, a couple of years ago, ACC softball, wasn't really a name on the big main stage, but then Florida State, like you said, Duke, Clemson are really starting to pick up. And obviously NC State, I think we're, heading in that right direction as well. So, I mean, the environments that you're going to play in are going to get tougher and tougher as years go.
For sure.
But again, I mean, it takes time to build a program. It takes time to build it. And, so, I mean, obviously, I think that, it's a stepping stone. And obviously, there's a huge opportunity this year for this team. I really do believe that.
Well, and to add into that, Leighton, to the success, like obviously, like they had 3 top 25 wins. I think they saw some note that beating Florida State last season, who was number 6 in the country, that was the second greatest win we've had in program history. So you've got a lot to build on. It's just there's a lot there. You bring in the number 4 recruiting class, one of the greatest wins in program history. There's a lot of momentum there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, those recruits aren't coming, for no reason. They're coming because they see something there for sure. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously, like looking at, as of this recording, we played 5 games so far. And one thing is, which I was definitely very excited about, because obviously, just like I was mentioning, we did lose a couple of pieces from the pitching side, was Aisha, and how she pitched 15 innings and only gave up 1 earned run, which is super impressive. That's unbelievable. So, it's great to see, again, these new pieces come in and really, pick up where we left off, because, I mean, I think that's really what you want to see. Just like Macon was saying, we want to see, not necessarily us build up, and then take a drop and then pick back up. It's like, you want to see just a continual gradual increase. So,
and I think going off of that and what they did last weekend is definitely going to help them have the momentum going into this weekend. They have 4 or 5 home games. They are coming off a 4-1 record from last weekend, and just seeing what the new players can do from last weekend, hopefully they can bring that momentum in for this weekend at home.
And in addition to what you were saying, Leighton, on the offensive side, the top 3 leaders in hits are all moved on from the team. So who do you expect to take advantage of that opportunity and kind of lead the team from the offensive side?
I think so we have a couple more returners. We have Logan, Randy, Sam Stack, Carson. I think those people will definitely lead in some sort of category for in the ACC. I know Randy led in home runs in the ACC, I'm pretty sure. Logan was top 1 or top 2 in RBIs. Carson had a great weekend this past weekend. She has already 2 or 3 home runs on the season. So as long as, those people continue to put in the work and have confidence that they can put the name for themselves in the ACC, I think it's going to be great. So I'm really excited to see what they can do for this season, especially because it's their last one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and obviously one thing too, that I think, with softball is, which I think doesn't really get necessarily enough respect with softball, is that, I mean, obviously with baseball, overall the ball is moving a lot faster, but obviously with softball, you don't have as much space to work with. And so whether it's hitting the ball or fielding the ball, I mean, you pretty much have to make a decision, what you're going to do before the ball is even left the pitcher's hand, or before even the ball is left, the batter's bat necessarily. And so, it's and that's one of my biggest things. I still remember to this day, I think it was a sports science that they did kind of like a breakdown of baseball versus softball, which is harder. And I mean, they basically were making a point that, I mean, basically seeing the ball come from under like that instead of from up down, I mean, it really messes with you. It's a lot harder, yeah, because you can't really see what's necessarily going to happen, and because even some of these pitchers, I remember Florida State, they usually have one, just these ridiculous pitchers. I mean, they'll just have these crazy drop balls and curve balls, and I don't even know. It's like a wiffle ball almost. It's where's the holes in that softball? It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, obviously one of the biggest, things of, I guess, kind of optimism even after this weekend, because obviously going 4-1 is awesome. And one of them was actually a walk-off win as well, which was awesome. But even on top of that as well, looking at the batting averages, the stats as well, is that, Libby Whitaker and Randy Farricker, who are 2 of our better returners in terms of from the batting side, didn't really have their best games. And so, it just makes you a little bit more optimistic, saying, because obviously, Randy and Libby, they're going to step it up. I mean, it's just a matter of time. Like they'll get back rolling. And so, I mean, okay, like if the top of the order, like the Kaylee Lambrecht, the Brittany Jacksons, the Taylor Johnsons can continue what they were doing, and then also have Randy and Libby get back to where they were as well. I mean, again, it's super exciting, in terms of what this season can have. And I mean, I think that I can say, I mean, obviously it's not necessarily like, you got to win the EC championship this year, but I think just like, again, we want to see a step forward this year. I mean, would you kind of agree with that, Angie?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, going off of what you were just saying about how Libby and Ray didn't have their best weekends, I'm not going to stress about it too much. I mean, like you said, it was the first weekend. I don't know if it was like maybe nerves or, just get those first weekend jitters out, whatever it was. But I know like as the season goes on, I mean, it even happened for me, like the first couple weekends last year weren't my greatest. But, as time goes on and you get to see live pitching more, you get to see the competition more. I think once everyone starts to see it more and get that competition and all those jitters out, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other funny thing as well is I remember you mentioned that one player actually came from Winthrop, but actually our first game was against Winthrop. So I'm sure that was quite a. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Nice to see you.
First game, cool, good. Yeah, long time no see.
Not gonna lie, I was like questioning what our coach were doing a little bit. I was like, I mean, they'd seen her before, but I mean, it worked out at the end. So I was like, clearly they know way better than I do, but.
Absolutely. So obviously, again, you see this a lot with baseball, but you also see it a lot. I think actually pretty fairly often with softball, where you see a lot of local teams. So like playing like this year, we have UNC Charlotte, UNCW, Campbell, North Carolina Central, Elon. So a lot of local teams that are not necessarily ACC teams, and so. Again, I know obviously you're from the New York area, so you may not necessarily have as much invested interest, but obviously a lot of players on teams are pretty local. And so, I mean, going into those games from being a former player, I mean, did you feel, from those players, like kind of a little bit of extra juice for those games, for those specific games?
Yeah, for sure. I know, obviously, in those games, whether midweeks or if you play them on the weekend, we obviously always want to win those games. I don't want to say they're easy wins for us, but obviously we all go into those games thinking we kind of have that win. But obviously, the people that are from those areas, it would just be nice, obviously, to, beat them, whether you're from that area or around that area. So I think it does give a little extra juice, specifically for those players, for sure.
Yep. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flightlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout Eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flightlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flightlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flightlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. And then let me ask you kind of a basic question as well. But what would you say that like, if somebody asks, what's your kind of bar for the season? So meaning like, if they do better than this, I'm happy. If they do better, if they do worse, then not to say I'm mad, but more I'm disappointed, kind of deal. Do you kind of have a bar in your head that you kind of set for this team, whether it's record or beating somebody specifically or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think the one thing I do want to mention is I think I want to see a better record than what we had last year. I know you brought up the whole on the road stat and like the record on the road. So I think I want to see obviously a better on the road record. That would be nice. So I kind of have a high expectation for that one. Obviously, I would love to see them do better on the road than we did last year. And I think obviously if they put the time in and prepare well, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, exactly. Also too, like, in terms of kind of talking about some more of these new faces here, are there specific names, for those Wolfpack fans, who already maybe know, like, again, the Logan Morrises, the Randy Farrakers, is there names, in terms of from these new players that maybe you would say for Wolfpack Nation to kind of keep an eye on this year, that could really, make a huge impact this season?
I think two of the names that stand out to me are Taylor Johnson and Elena Smith. I think Taylor has that experience from Wisconsin.
Yep.
She kind of proved that she has experience this past weekend. And Elena, she is a freshman, so she doesn't have that experience, but I've seen her in the fall, and I've heard that she does put in, that extra work that needs to be put in. So I would love to see them, both of them, dominate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Again, it's the same deal with any team, and obviously, with college sports the way it is now, with the transfer rules the way they are, it's a completely different ball game. And I'm sure that you could even vouch for that as well. That transfer rule now just opens up all of college sports, really. I mean, that pretty much every single year there could be some teams that have, completely new faces, honestly. I mean, it's the unfortunate reality. So, let me ask you about that as well, Angie, before we kind of dive more into the softball season. So, what are your overall kind of viewpoints on the transfer rules the way they are now?
I think I actually like it. I think the rule where you I'm not like 100% sure on what the rule change was, but when you had to sit out a year if you transferred in the same conference, I think, to me, it's a little, I just don't like that. I don't know what the point of it is, to be honest. So I think this new transfer rule definitely will help a lot. I don't know if anyone can agree with me on that one, but the old rule, to me, I didn't see a point in it. If I, God forbid, I want to transfer, or someone wanted to transfer within the same conference, I don't know what the point is of sending them out for 1 year. But to me, I think the whole new transfer rule probably put a better name to softball, obviously. And I think just in general, sports in general. So.
Absolutely. All right. And then one other question I wanted to kind of talk about, and this is more, again, broad future of NC State softball, is, from you as a former player's perspective, would you say that there are any definite upgrades that you would like to have, in terms of, the Dail softball stadium or facilities wise, that, just are super necessary? They're like, okay, if we're going to compete at the top, we need to have this.
I don't know if it's necessary for to win, but for me, when I was there, I wish I had a huge scoreboard. And we had a video screen on it, kind of what baseball has. I know there's been talk about it. Obviously, it hasn't been done yet. I don't know. Maybe that kind of just gets everyone going. I know when I was at Clemson and Virginia, when they had the big scoreboard and they had their videos playing and stuff, I even got chills, and I was like, wow, maybe that could, even if we had a little video, maybe that can get us going a little bit before game time and kind of give us chills and kind of get us ready to play. I think maybe I don't know if it's just kind of a girly thing to say. Maybe it would just get us going for a game time, but maybe you're seeing each other on the screen. You know? But I think seeing that little video, this is what NC State softball is about, and having all of us on that screen showing us that, or showing the world that what NC State softball is about, I think that will honestly be a plus. So.
Absolutely.
Angie's I would love the screen bigger, so when I crank out a home run, I want to see
the
as big
replays.
as possible, basically. Yeah. It's just not big enough, yeah.
No, I think that'd be a good addition. Everybody loves a good hype video.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. So, well, again, Angie, first of all, I want to say thank you so much again. Really do appreciate your time, and definitely would love to have you back in the Raleigh area if you ever get a chance. For sure, check out some NC State games. Get back to the Dail ever so often, Of
course. I think I actually am going to make a trip for the Duke series. I want to see that one. So I'll be back for that.
Let's go.
Nice.
Okay. Awesome. Let's go. That's awesome. All right. Well, again, thank you all so much again for tuning in for part 2 here. And again, definitely make sure, again, support these girls this year. Again, there's no doubt that I think that we can all agree the softball program is heading in the right direction and they're going places. So definitely jump on the train now while you can. And again, make sure, again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Again, it's free to do and really helps support us. And make sure you don't miss out whenever we release new NC State content. Give this video a like as well so that more NC State fans can see it. And also give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter or Instagram. But, hey, as always, thank you all so much. And, hey, as always, go Pack, y'all.